Across the history of any endeavour, there are icons who stand tall and put their weight and support behind the growth and success of a project. In the Melton region, one of the greatest proponents of the sport of circuit boat racing for much of the last half-century was Keith Harrison, a man who not only competed, but threw his support behind the Melbourne Runabout and Speedboat Club, the relationship ultimately leading to the introduction of the Keith Harrison Trophy.
My father was involved in that probably 20 years ago. They had been a club that ran race meetings quite regularly, community events, club days, etc. And Keith wanted to try and raise the profile of the sport by having a bigger open class with supercharged displacements. So the two companies, Melton Toyota and Harrison for the time, started to sponsor the event. At the same time, the club saw that Keith had done a lot of achievements in his life of boat racing, won some Griffiths Cups, had become a life member. So they put together a Keith Harrison Invitational Trophy, sponsored by Melton Toyota. Very prestigious trophy in the Melbourne Runabout Speedboat Club's history and also now Australia-wide. So we are part of the boat club, and the boat club is part of us as a Harrison family. My uncle, Jeff, is a life member. My uncle, Ron, life members. My father, life member. My cousin, Glenn, got a Clubman Award a few years ago. I've got a Clubman Award. I think Keith joined the Melbourne Runabout Speedboat Club as a water skier. His two elder brothers were members. Keith went down there one day with his ski boat. Maybe a year or so later, saw some boat racing down at the boat club and got hooked, put the ski boat in a circuit boat race, and that was history. That was mid-late 60s. From there he got the bug. I think he won a couple of races, had a little timber gill flight, David Gill boat, put a little 6-cylinder Holden engine in it. Dad then went to Sydney and built a fiberglass boat off Bert Everingham, a yellow displacement called Torque, run many Victorian championships, and yeah, the bug was truly bitten. And I don't think at that stage, in the mid-70s to the late 80s, he even thought that he was ever going to go Grand Prix hydroplane racing. He had a tunnel boat which was very famous called Desert Rat by George Robins out of Broken Hill. It had been runner-up to the big Thunder boats for many years, Miss Bud, Bayswater Bulk, and in 1985 he bought it off George Robins. In the first year at Yarrawonga at the Griffiths Cup, he beat Miss Bud, breaking the drought of the unlimited hydroplanes, the Miss Buds of the world. And yeah, 2-3 years he was unbeatable in the Rat, but then Shamrock came out, Grand Prix hydroplane from Con Cunningham, and he saw the writing on the wall that the tunnel boat wasn't going to be as fast as a supercharged hydroplane. He then contracted Ron Jones in USA, in Seattle, USA, to building a revolutionary tri-wing hydroplane called Spellbound, which a lot of people do know about that boat.
With the expansion of his automotive dealerships in Melton, Keith ultimately decided in the middle of a race meeting to hang up his helmet, much to his son's surprise.
I do remember it was 1994. I do remember it was November 94, because it's not often you get asked by your father to say, look, Grant, and I had no preparation here, so think this, how would you like to have a driver Spellbound in the next race? So I went there to crew for him. I was running my own small limited class boat, and he said, your turn to have a drive. He gave me a drive. It was the A.E. Baker. We were running against Dennis Parker in Aussie Endeavour, I think it was. And I knew straight away that we really had no hope. First time I drove the boat, racing against a great big turbine boat. But Dennis, credit him, he gave me room on the corners, and we ran pretty hard, and for a couple of laps we led, but Dennis was going out wide, and we came second in the A.E. Baker in 1994, my first ever race. From that point on, Keith never got back in the boat.
Since then, Grant Harrison has become one of the most successful drivers in the history of the sport, with 9 EC Griffith Cup trophies to his name, alongside the 2012 UIM Hydroplane World Championship title. But across all that period, Keith had been right there alongside him. The 2024 running of the Melton Gold Cup would be the first time in 20 years that Keith would not be on hand to present the trophy named in his honour. His passing less than 12 months ago, leaving a big void in the sport.
Yeah, it is going to be hard being the first year. I can sometimes talk about it to other people without it affecting me emotionally, but I know it's going to be an emotional weekend. Even now, just talking about Dad now, I can feel a bit of sadness coming up in me. Dad was a big part of the life, and everyone passes, and there's again a lot of other people lost their parents in much more tragic circumstances than myself. I'm just so lucky to have had Dad as a father to help me boat race, help support me through other things as well. So I just remember our years as great fondness, and I just hope I can do him proud in the future.
Like his father, Grant Harrison is a big part of boat racing in Australia, and just like Keith, is the dealer principal of Melton Toyota, spearheading an automotive empire that was started more than 50 years ago.
From 1972, when Dad was appointed as a dealer, from probably 2000 or so when I took over the reins, to last year in 2023 was our 50th anniversary of our Toyota dealership here in Melton. That makes our family, the Harrison family, the longest single-owning Toyota dealership here in Melbourne. Melton Toyota is still one of the last few family remaining dealerships that looks after themselves and looks after their community. From a small business, my dad started with maybe 3 staff in 1973. With our entire group, we have over 300 staff at Melton Toyota, Melton four-wheel drive as well, Hyundai, Suzuki, Kia, Isuzu, Cherry. Yeah, we're keeping on growing and our town's growing, so it's been a good time.